The ladies like it too.
Welcome to the show. I'm David Lawler. This is the David Lawler Podcast, and we are continuing our character assassination, gender assassination, if you will, of men and women. The previous episode was called The Death of Men, and I'm calling this one The Death of Women. Subtitling, I guess, byline, fourth wave feminism. That was what I was originally going to call it, but I figured, why don't we make this equal opportunity? If we can, we're going to talk about women and how women have gone completely out of their minds for this. I want to say over the past year, but this has really kind of been brewing for a while. It's kind of like with Antifa and Black Lives Matter. This is more focused on a culture of victimization, something that's going on even now, and taking slights, insults, a nipple pinch here, a butt pinch there, a groping, a grasping, even talk, even locker room talk between a man who was not president and is president now, and a guy who happened to be surreptitious, or not surreptitiously, but conspicuously recording a conversation, talking about grabbing pussies. If you're famous, don't let you grab their pussies. And I made this comparison before because we were talking about on Extreme Cinema the Harvey Weinstein debacle. Sorry. And as for comparison, I brought up Eddie Murphy's little stand-up gag about how when you're famous, women throw their pussy at you. Here's some pussy for you, pussy for you, pussy for you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Pussy be falling out of my pockets and shit. Anyway, it's like some people get a free pass too. This is very interesting, isn't it? On the No Agenda show, somebody brought up, I think it was Dvorak, brought up Johnny Depp. The man beats his women, and people still love him. Alec Baldwin, has said and done horrible things to people, and people love him for some reason. And it might be because of their politics, we'll never know. But we're talking about women. And I had written some notes down a few months ago, and now I get to roll those babies out. And I don't think the women are going to like this because it's a genetic thing. I think it comes into genetic. It's in your DNA. But what I was thinking was that every woman wants to become pregnant with a child at some point in her life. Every woman. It's part of her natural process, her biology. Her body is made to make children. And of course, I'm not talking about the anecdotal evidence because there's always some horrible person out there who just needs to refute this and say, well, I was born without a vagina, or I was born without ovaries, or I was born missing a breast or something. Therefore, I wasn't meant to feed children, right? Yeah, we're not talking about the freaks, okay? And the freak, in the true sense of the word, is that very small percentage that simply defies logic, defies science. They're built a certain way, and they can't have children or something like that. Cancer or whatever. Cancer can cause that too. If you remove certain organs, you're not going to be able to have children. No, I'm talking about the 99.9% of women out there. Their bodies are made to make children. Now, radical feminists come along and they tell a young woman, no, you're capable of so much more. You're capable of so much more than having children. I can't imagine anything more important to the human race, really, than having children. Perhaps our capacity for understanding, our capacity, our ability to assess our logic or something like that. Education, but all of that means nothing if we don't have future progeny, if you will. We should all just hang out in basements and watch television and smoke weed, apparently. You're capable of 48-hour work weeks and no time off and just burying yourself in your work, working for the man or the woman. That's more honorable than breeding children. See, the thing is, you have your biology fighting you on this, and then you've got people who don't even know you, by the way, telling you, And then just looking at, I don't know, women who decided to have children, women who decided to stay out of the workplace. Maybe they take care of their home and their family. The marriage can be a partnership in a way. And then there's the men who do the same thing. I mean, the roles are reversed. My wife works, I mean, I take care of I take care of the house. I take care of the kid. I'm trying to make sure the kid does her homework tonight because we have to do a lot. And I don't really want to put the pressure on my wife to have to do that. I mean, she should just be able to, in a perfect world, she should just be able to come home, eat the dinner I've made for her, and relax, maybe watch a little TV, spend a little quality time with Regan, and then go to bed. But, a lot of times she has to be pressed into service to do things. Anyway, when you're telling a woman that they're wasting their life not having kids or having kids or something, rather than going out there and just being a fucking schmuck like everybody else, it creates a schism in a person's brain, particularly in a young woman's mind, right? It makes it crazy to hear that. And that's when I came to the conclusion that you have the feminist groups, and then you also have the traditionalists, and I'm going to still call them that because, nothing has changed, really. All that's changed is people's thought processes. My favorite two words for the week are fact pattern, because I'm hearing that a lot lately. Fact pattern. These are the fact patterns. This is the patterns of facts. I don't know. I'm a writer, and I feel like we've raped the English language, and raped all language, as a matter of fact. We are definitely going to serve time and pay hefty fines for our rape of language. Anyway, it's what I'm seeing because of this is that there's still a war on, and the war is for domination of a woman's soul. Like, a lot of people want to tell women what to do, and women, I'm going to put this out there, women, like men, don't like being told what to do or how to live. Nobody likes that. When are you going to take advice from people who don't know? There was an old saying about walking a mile in a man's shoes, that kind of thing. Walk a mile in a woman's shoes. Jesus, I don't know if I could. I'm a size 12. If I tried to put on my wife's shoes, my God, I'd probably destroy her shoes. But she wears some nice shoes, actually. She's got really nice taste, except she had these very nice red kind of sandals, but she went she took the baby to Michigan last year. I think it was last year or the year before. And she brought along those festive shoes, and they're very lovely shoes, by the way. And the dogs, I mean, like her dad's dogs got at them and they ate them. And I just, things like that. I know those dogs. I know what those dogs are like. You keep those wrapped up. You put them someplace because they will find them. They're crazy. Maybe put them in a dresser drawer or something. Anyway, they just destroyed her shoes. I don't know what it is about dogs, why they like to do that. He doesn't have enough chew toys around, for Christ's sake. Anyway, to repay her, he bought her some new shoes, and these shoes are just, they're boring. They're boring. They're not even red. Anyway, I like red. Red is a great color on everyone. On everyone. Everyone in the universe can wear red. Everyone in the universe can wear black. Not everybody can wear yellow. I think black people have kind of the corner on yellow because for some reason I feel like they want to look like bumblebees. Anyway, so you get a lot. It's so strange because you get the conservative commentators telling them, don't put pressure on women to get jobs, don't make them feel like losers. But what you're doing is you're trying to still influence the game in a way. Because you're still trying to tell women how to live their life, and women had been through so much anyway. Never mind blacks, never mind Irish, never mind Serbians, never mind Serbo-Croatians or whatever. It's women completely down the line. You have men and women have been oppressed and subjugated for a long time, a much longer time than anybody else. And it's a different kind of slavery that's going on. It's more of a benevolent kind of slavery where you're locking women into a life where they're forced to breed children, and that's all they are is baby makers. That's how they're viewed as. And I don't want to view them as that either. So I'm constantly coming into a kind of a personal conflict of myself where I just take the pressure off. Stop pressuring women. Either way, on either side. I listen to like Gavin McInnes, or I listen to Ben Shapiro, and again, these guys. Well, Gavin McInnes, I'll give him a little bit more acknowledgement or credibility because he's in his late 40s, but he's way too angry though. That's the problem with him. When he tells, I don't know, he calls these feminists to their face fucking idiots. And I'm like, you're not going to get too many friends. Try to be more reasonable. Try to be more rational in your approach. He's another guy who really, I don't think he has any reason to be as angry as he is most of the time. He didn't exactly grow up poor. He didn't grow up rich. He grew up as a kind of a Canadian, was born in England and everything. His family is Scottish, comes over Canada, has to deal with that horse shit. And then comes down to America and really makes a lot of money, makes a fortune. And he's married, and he's got a wife who is a Native American, I believe, and he has 3 children. And he thinks because it works for him, it's going to work for everybody else, and that's not the case either. This is another thing people need to understand. Oh my God, just because it works for you doesn't mean it's going to work for everybody else. We are not robots, and you can't program us. So we're all just a bunch of, just imagine an island full of schizophrenics, and you've got the human condition right there. Everyone's going off in their different camps. They're going to do whatever they want to do. Let them. I don't have any skin in that game, or I don't have a dog in that fight, as my good friend Andrew would say. I don't have a dog in the fight of your life. I'm constantly fighting with my liberal self. I have a liberal self that's been much more ingrained into my psyche than being any kind of conservative politics or anything like that. Maybe I consider myself fiscally conservative. Maybe I believe that we do need to spend a lot of money on defense because, we don't, there are people that hate us. We annoy people, It's kind of like Lewis Black's joke about, how would you feel if you went to work every day and some guy just comes in and screams, "I'm the greatest fucker here," and all of you sniveling shits would die without me. That's annoying. That's kind of American exceptionalism, but I can understand that. But I also understand that exceptionalism breeds a privilege, American privilege. No such thing as white privilege. It's American privilege. Stop feeling bad about the fact that you have a lot. You have so much here in this country, and a lot of people have next to nothing in other countries. So you're going to create a problem. You're going to create that schism in the woman's mind because she's like, yeah, I'm a woman. I guess I'm being subjugated. I'm being told to have babies, or I'm being told to have a career. But I've never had it so good as living in this nation, in this country. I mean, try to imagine fighting for a woman's soul in a place like Saudi Arabia. Not a good idea. How about, Somalia? I mean, my God, you should see what they do to women in Somalia. So, like I said, there's the fight in my liberal head. I do not believe that abortion should be a feminized issue because I think women, it is a woman's body, but it's also a man's body as well. A man's decision should take some precedence, and I'll give you a very good example of this. I had 2 or 3 girlfriends back in my past who did everything they could to get pregnant with my child. They would do everything they could to get themselves pregnant, and I, being a thoughtful, rational person, I was a teenager in my late teens. I was in my late teens, early 20s maybe. I was not making good money. I certainly wasn't making enough money to be able to afford a domestic life. Suburbia and mowing lawns and all that nonsense, and mortgages and interest. And I didn't want to get married, and I didn't want to have children. But I was with, there were three girls, all of them, young too. I mean, like maybe 17, 18, something like that, right? And they wanted to get pregnant. They wanted me to inseminate them. I would like to be able to make that decision to say no. And also, if I happen to slip one past the goalie, I can say, get an abortion. And then, because of this, the rubrics of the time that we're living in now, the woman has every right to tell me, no, it's my body, I'm having this child. And I'm like, what if I say I don't want to have this child? This is a weird, broad assumption. that seems to point to men just want to knock up women to enslave and entrap them, right? And women don't want to have children. And like I said before, it's every woman wants to become pregnant with a child at some point in her life. That's just how it is. A lot of my liberal female friends eventually had children. In fact, some of them had way more than they should have. I always thought the more kids you bring into the world, the less time you're going to have to spend with each of them. That's the thing. See, Gavin McInnes can talk all he wants about his 3 kids and how proud he is, but the fact is, I mean, he's going to be run ragged. Him and his poor wife have to be run ragged, having to divide their time among 3 children as they're growing up. I'm perfectly happy having 1 child. I give that kid my world. That kid gets everything from me. And there's no fighting. I mean, if there's fighting, it's not kids versus kids. It's just a kid versus 2 adults. And me and my wife are very muscular people, and we can beat the crap out of her if she gets out of line. She kind of knows that. I think she suspects it anyway. But the thing is, that's why I think that the any decisions made about abortion should rest on both figures, unless the woman is getting on. It's the funniest thing in the world. There are projects a few blocks up from here, and those projects are littered with white women carrying a string of children, like 5 or 6 mixed ethnicity children, obviously, and they're not married, and it's like the strangest thing in the world. I mean, what are you trying to do here? Are you trying to make your life a living hell? Yeah, children are wonderful, blah, 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 but the thing is, my daughter screams and the whole world hears her. It's an enormous responsibility dealing with children. So that's why I feel I'm entitled to an opinion on the abortion matter. I consider myself pro-choice. I do not consider myself pro-life. I'm not one of these people that's going to force a woman to have a child. It's none of my business. Again, just because it works for you doesn't mean it works for everybody else. That's the most important thing. And there might be women out there completely happy with the idea of, hey, I'll just go to work every day, But they complain about, lack of promotions, lack of they're paranoid. They've gone completely off the rails, and they're completely paranoid because they think men are out to get them, men are out to employ them and give them less money. And I happen to go along with the guy's opinion. One guy had an opinion. I forgot his name, but he said, if that were the case, then all men would be fired. We just hire women. We can pay them less and keep more money for ourselves. But we don't do that. And now the workplace has become an even more dangerous environment because you can't even look at a woman now. You can't even look at a woman. You can't look at a woman. That's considered some form of assault. You can't compliment a woman on her dress. It's interesting anecdote. One job that I had, we had 3 days of orientation, and it ended with a sexual harassment seminar or something like that. And they showed a video, and it was like this woman comes in, and she's like, "Hi, Tom, how you doing? Hi, how you doing? Hey, you look really good in that dress." And she's like, "Tom, I'm feeling sexually harassed. I feel insulted. You're looking at my body. Why are you doing that?" And it never becomes apparent to her, I guess, that she's kind of part of the problem here. And we brought it up with the moderator. We said, this woman comes in, and she's wearing this incredibly short skirt, incredibly tight shirt. She happens to have really big tits, too. And she is galled at this guy showing her a little bit of attention for what she's wearing. He wasn't like all over her. He wasn't like, come over here, baby. Ooh. He wasn't like that. And he was polite. So I was like, we're kind of like, what? Okay, so whatever the lesson, do not even look at women. Do not even look at them. Do not talk to them. Do not taunt Happy Fun Ball. So if that's where we're headed, it's going to be really, really difficult for people to talk. Never mind men and women, just talking and all that. And I understand that women have been through quite a bit, but I do not believe that any particular group should get reparations. I think if any group should get reparations, it's the group that the actual subjugation was inflicted upon. But these feminists, they don't want you to think that the problem has been solved. They want you to continue on because I think a lot of them are making good money off of this. Speakers' fees have gone up dramatically. We've turned several elections into feminized issues and and all that, like I mentioned in the previous episode. So it's really, I think we have the domination of the woman's soul, and that soul is kind of running our world, or at least the world that we live in. There are many different worlds. This is the world we live in, the American world. Our view, our outlook on life is being dominated by feminine hysteria. And I'm going to say the same thing I said in the previous episode. Do what you want to do. Don't listen to anybody else. Do what you feel is right. And don't feel bad about your decisions. Okay? Speaking of bad decisions, we'll talk about Trump next episode. But I do want to thank you for listening. And really, ladies, come on, man. The boiler just kicked in. Let's chill, shall we? Good night.